Is that better? Can you all hear me now? Joe is my guy. He's been helping me a lot, and he just told me audio wasn't on. It looks like audio's back on now. Looks like there was a problem with the settings that I had. All good now. I was just rambling, so not a big problem. So let me do the intro again. All right, perfect. Thanks, buddy. That is Joe. He's an OG. He helps me out, and #1 fan. I love it. Okay, so today, welcome and welcome back. Let's redo that intro. Welcome and welcome back. Today's episode is continuing our series on nutrition for student health. The reason why I'm doing this is because a lot of my clients are actually varsity students, and they are in a lot of students, especially because they learn from home stuff and all that kind of stuff over the past few years, have had to now start dealing with, for lack of a term, adulting things in their lives for their very first time, and those adulting things have been very, very difficult. This month we are doing the nutrition student guide, or the student nutrition guide, and that student nutrition guide is covering a lot of different things. Last week we talked about healthy eating on a budget, because of course that's the student experience is usually that there's budgetary issues, or they're trying to find anything to eat properly and all that kind of stuff. So we covered a lot of the nutrition, healthy eating on a budget kind of techniques. So go back there and watch that live stream. I have still yet to cut it up and edit it into something that's a little bit more usable. That is coming on the way. But for now, if you want to watch the Healthy Eating on a Budget stream, then it is available on replay. So that being said, today is all about eating. Last time's stream was about how to buy food properly, how to do the adulting thing. That's half the picture. Today is more about how to actually eat to support your health, support your brain activity, support all that kind of stuff, and support your academic success. Now, one of the biggest things, and we talked about this a little bit last time, was that nutrition is a big predictor of academic success. There's a lot of different studies available that talk about how kids with better nutrition status are better in academics. Those that go to school with breakfast have better academic scores and all that kind of stuff. So go back and watch that. So today we're talking about how to actually eat healthier, or how to actually eat in a way to support academic success. That's what we're talking about. Why is this not breaking? Let's chop this up. Today, what I'm making for dinner is sushi, because I have been obsessed with making sushi ever since I got good enough to do it at home. So that's what we're doing. I started washing the rice a little bit earlier before stream started, because I was hoping that I'd have all the rice washed and the ability to basically talk about the first part of the stream, which is Nutrition 101, which is down here. Nutrition 101, before, so that I can focus on that. The settings, audio, and all that kind of stuff messed me up a little bit. That's okay. We're recovering. We're getting back on track. So, right now, what I'm doing is I've washed the rice, and now I'm going to use my fillings, which is the solid tuna packed in water, and the crab meat. Now, these are not like student things. If you don't know how to do sushi, then of course this is not exactly going to be the easiest thing in the world to do. But I'm doing it because this is one of those things where I don't have to worry about heat at the same time as preparing this while I'm talking about nutrition and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm doing this today. I love it. It's a lot of fun, and that's what I'm cooking for dinner. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm just straining these tins and making sure that they're good to go. And while the rice is cooking, now I washed the rice. I put a good size amount of dried kelp in there to give it some a little bit of the rice, a little bit of umami flavor. And now right now I'm just draining the packing fluids that are in there. So I'm going to talk about nutrition in a little bit. Talk about Nutrition 101, the basics of nutrition, what students should know, what they should be aiming for, so that it's not like kind of ridiculous or anything like that. So Nutrition 101, one of the biggest things is you gotta make sure that you have breakfast. So one thing I tell people to aim for right now is 3 solid meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as snacks when appropriate. Now, aiming for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, breakfast should be eaten within an hour or two of waking up, and meals and snacks should be separated by about 3 to 4 hours. Now, in an ideal world, you'd have your breakfast at around 8, your lunch around 12, an afternoon snack at around 4, dinner around like 6 or 7 or whatever you're used to, study, maybe have a bedtime snack. Now, the reason why, there's a couple different reasons why. There's 2 primary reasons why. The first reason, because if you eat breakfast, and we're going to have a section dedicated to breakfast, if you eat breakfast, your academic scores are much, much better because you're fueling your body, and specifically your brain, with carbohydrates, which turn into glucose in the body, which fuel the brain, right? So we need to talk about that in a little bit, but realistically what we're doing when we eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner spread out every 3 to 4 hours is 2 things. The first thing is we're preventing the body from going into, for lack of a better term, starvation mode. That basically means that if your body is not eating breakfast in those first few hours of waking up, then what actually ends up happening is your body prevents your brain from using proper glycogen storage. Not glycogen stores, but your carbohydrate stores. So basically, your brain's not going to work quite so well. And I don't know about you, but if I go anywhere in the morning and I don't eat breakfast, no bueno, it's not good. I'm no good in the morning to anyone, right? So we want to keep that in mind. Second thing we want to do is recognize what eating breakfast in the morning does. It gets our digestive system going. That digestive system is very, very important for our metabolism and is very, very important to keeping our organ systems functioning. Our organ systems functioning account, especially our digestive function, account for 70% of our basal metabolic rate. This is very, very important because a lot of students in the first year of university, they call it the freshman 15, where it's very, very likely that the dietary habits, because everything's out of whack, out of swing, you don't have the typical reliance on your school schedule in high school to keep you on track with your eating, right? High school schedules are very, very good in the sense where you'll hopefully eat breakfast and then have your lunch at a set time, be excused from classes around like 3 to 4, whatever, be able to eat a snack when you get home and then have dinner, right? That's really, really good because it's actually every 3 to 4 hours that you're eating. So that's what your body's used to. That's what we have to kind of try to maintain as well. Now, that is very, very important because that also keeps your body in a hormonal state called muscle protein synthesis as long as you're hitting your protein targets. So breakfast within an hour or two waking up, meals and snacks separated by about 3 to 4 hours, and of course at nighttime when and we're going to talk about this later on with nighttime snacking. At nighttime, we really want to control the types of carbohydrates and the amount of carbohydrates that we have because our blood sugars are much, much more sensitive at night. Our body is more sensitive to carbohydrates at nighttime, causing blood sugar spikes and crashes, which is not very productive, especially when it comes to those late night study sessions. Your brain doesn't receive quite so much. So that being said, that's Nutrition 101. Very, very simple. Breakfast within 1 to 2 hours of waking up. Meals and snacks separated by about 3 to 4 hours. Now, this becomes a challenge when your body is or your class schedule gets in the way of eating. So for example, I had one client, she's a competitive figure skater and ballet dancer, and we were looking at her class schedule earlier this week, determining what we kind of needed to prioritize, which days she needed to bring her lunch, which days she needed to bring her dinner to class, and all that kind of stuff in order to be able to succeed properly during the school season. Now, the reason why is because she's a competitive figure skater. So that means that she needs to be able to fuel her body appropriately. She's got morning practices, right? So if she's got to wake up roughly, she's got to do her morning practice roughly at 6:30 a.m., finishes around 8:30, then has class at 9, and then has another class, yada yada, all that kind of stuff. I can't remember her schedule off the top of my head. The reason why that's important is because it really helps us take a look at where are the biggest potential areas for nutritional disaster, right? So in that kind of scenario, what we've created from a nutrition plan standpoint is that she would have a pre-practice breakfast, something small, easy, grabbable, to get to practice, fuel her body appropriately, and that is just a banana. Just a quick, simple banana on the go before her practice in the morning. That would give her enough carbohydrates to fuel her practice, along with a hydration plan focusing on electrolytes and branched chain amino acids during her practice. And then what we would be doing is getting her to have a post-workout nutrition plan afterwards, something that she would carry in her bag to be able to properly recover, so that because she's a first-year student, she would go to the dining hall, get a breakfast, and then go to class, eat. Luckily, and this depends what program you're in and your professor and all that kind of stuff, but we would be looking at the ability, and this is a big thing for university students, the ability to be able to eat during lectures. Now, a lot of people are really weird about this in the beginning, but as long as you're being quiet, you're not munching on loud things, and you're not making lots of noise, you can eat during lecture. It's kind of great. So do that. So she would be able to grab her breakfast at morning dining hall, bring it to lecture, eat it, and then be able to recover properly from her workouts, and then be able to study between classes. Now, she would be able to do that, and then 3 hours later, because her lecture is about 3 hours, she'd have lunch, which is really great, and then she'd study for a little bit, do her afternoon lecture, eat dinner, have an afternoon snack, study for a little bit, eat dinner, study again for a little bit, or socialize, do whatever she wants to do, basically, and then be able to go to sleep properly, right? One of the biggest things is we want to recommend or make sure that one of the best things to focus on for academic success is your sleep. So it's really high priority, especially if you're in a very tough program, to get enough sleep. And although a lot of people will go like, oh, I study best at nighttime, I'm like, okay, you can say that, studies indicate otherwise. So getting a full night's worth of sleep so you're waking up appropriately, feeling refreshed, is very important, because when studies look at sleep deprivation and academic success, it's very clear that if you're not sleeping properly, you're not retaining the information. You're just kind of wasting your time, right? You're not working smart, you're working hard, which is a challenge, because ultimately that's a waste of time. It's inefficient. You might as well pack it in after a certain time and be able to go to sleep to better retain your information. And that's very important, making sure you sleep properly, because if you don't, what ends up happening is that your body, or better yet, if you don't sleep properly, what better happens is that your brain doesn't function properly the next day, your hormones are out of whack, insulin sensitivity is a little bit higher, those blood sugar, when you eat those carbohydrates for breakfast, your blood sugars spike up, they drop down, causing you this blood sugar roller coaster throughout the rest of the day. And the reason why that is there's a couple of different hormones at play here, most notably cortisol, right? When you have a high stress response, then your body will typically release too much cortisol in the morning. It'll over-respond to meals and suppress your fullness hormone, which is leptin, and increase your hunger hormone, which is ghrelin. Hold on one second. Gotta get the avocado for the sushi. Start preparing that. I'm cutting that up. These avocados aren't too ripe, but that's okay. We'll figure that out later. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. So, we want to be able to eat appropriately in the morning and then separate meals and snacks by about 3 to 4 hours. And get enough sleep. That's where we are. Dietary sleep. Because if you're not sleeping properly, your body does release more stress hormones, preventing you from learning and preventing you from retaining information as you study. So very, very important to your academic success that you get enough sleep. Huge thing to focus on. Which is a challenge for a lot of people because, of course, they might get a lot of quiet at nighttime, which allows them to study a little bit more effectively. If you're living from home or lucky to live from home during university, then that might be the only time that your house is quiet, in which case I would recommend maybe considering staying on campus a little bit longer, making use of the student library facilities and all that kind of stuff. It'll help you a little bit more in terms of your academic success. Consider that. I remember when I was a student living downtown Toronto, I would go to the U of T library religiously to study at nighttime because it was a lot more quieter than the Ryerson University, now known as Toronto Metropolitan University, and B, it was just good being around people with the same energy that had the same level of seriousness because I didn't retain information too well. So whenever there was distractions, it would just not let me really catch on the information. I felt like I was wasting time. Plus, I had to do a part-time job during university, which made my time very, very limited. So going to U of T made a lot more sense than TMU because back then, when I was in university, which is quite some time ago, TMU wasn't the student population. I wouldn't say was taking their studies as seriously as U of T, and I was lucky enough to be living near U of T, and it made more sense, so I did that. So if you are a student that needs a lot of quiet to study, consider staying at school, going to your library and studying there. That might help you out quite a bit. It certainly helped me out for mine. That being said, I'm just going to cut these real quick and be able. I'm not doing anything fancy. Don't really need that. Just need to cut the avocado and be able to use it later on. So, Nutrition 101 is eat your breakfast within an hour or two of waking up. Meals and snacks separated by about 3 to 4 hours. So keep that in mind. That is the golden rule. That's what I tell everyone to focus on. And that means no intermittent fasting. I'm sorry, but intermittent fasting is no bueno from a student academic success standpoint. It's just, don't do it. Just don't do it. You don't get enough brain fuel. You don't focus quite so well. It's good for weight loss for males, not specifically for females. And there's a lot of different reasons why I'm not going to get into right now. But really, intermittent fasting is only effective for students. I mean, for males. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted today. I'm having an ADD day. Anyways, there's that. We would be doing that. That's Nutrition 101. Okay, let's talk about breakfast. Because we got to talk about breakfast hacks. One of the biggest things is I talked about how important breakfast is. So let's talk about important things for breakfast to keep in mind. Now, that being said, by the way, if you're a little curious what I'm doing right now, I'm just getting the sauces, the condiments ready for the sushi when the rice is done cooking. That's all I'm really doing right now. So that's the thing there. I got a big old thing of rice vinegar, so that's fun. But I need a little bit of mirin because what I'm going to do is basically make spicy tuna out of this canned tuna. So, canned tuna. I tried it the other day without some spicy mayo and all that kind of stuff. Would not recommend. It was just a little bit weird, to be perfectly honest with you. Here's some Japanese Kewpie mayo. Kewpie mayo. And got some green peppers. Green onion. I'm just going to throw in there, chopped it up previously to make this. And the way they make spicy mayo is literally just a good old amount of sriracha. So, just mix up a little bit of sriracha and Kewpie mayo. And we could add some mirin in there. I'm not going to. Just going to mix that up. Wait a minute. Where's that spoon? Oh, there's that spoon. I'm just going to reuse this spoon that I used for the avocado. Not a big deal. Whatever. Mix, mix, mix. It's all coated. Then it's properly seasoned and we're ready to go. That's going to need a bit more mayo. Okay. We'll mix that up. The rice is going. I can hear it. It's cooking in the background. And breakfast hacks. So, one of the biggest things is we talked about breakfast at the budgeting one, which go back and listen to if you haven't heard that yet. But breakfast is really, really important. The research is very clear that people that eat breakfast have better academic success and better productivity. So, you need to eat breakfast. All right? No intermittent fasting for students. It's just not good. So, what do? You eat breakfast within an hour or two of waking up. What is a good breakfast? Well, a good breakfast aims to have at least 25 to 30 grams of protein. That is very, very challenging for people that just want to wake up, have a serving of fruit and go and all that kind of stuff for practicality reasons and all that. The reason why we want to have a good amount of protein in the morning is because it prevents the blood sugars from spiking up when you have carbohydrates with that meal. So, basically, when you eat carbohydrates alone, especially after you wake up, depending on whether or not you slept properly or not that night, your blood sugars are more prone to spiking. So if that's the case, we want to prevent it from spiking, because if you have a blood sugar spike, then of course the rest of your day is a little bit more challenging when it comes to your nutrition. You will tend to overeat anyways, or you will find it a little bit more difficult to concentrate, focus, yada yada, all that kind of stuff. So, that being said, you want to take that into consideration. Spicy mayo from a tuna tin. Again, not official, authentic recipes. Just stuff that would work probably in a dorm room. Who knows? And you want to be sure to check the rules of your dorm room, because some dorm rooms allow cooking, others don't. If you wanted, for example, let's say a Instant Pot like the one I got, then you want to make sure you're not breaking any rules in your dorm room or anything like that, right? So keep that in mind. Review your dorm room rules very, very carefully, and that's important because when it comes to breakfast, you can actually prepare a good amount of breakfast in your dorm room without having any major issues. So, for example, like a breakfast sandwich with deli meats and all that kind of stuff makes it very, very easy to hit that 20-gram mark that I was talking about earlier, or 25-gram mark I was talking about a little bit earlier with your... Ew, what's going on here? There's paper in here. What? That's weird. There's paper in here with my canned crab meat. There's more paper. What the what? I'm also going to put a little bit of tuna in here because I tried to make some sushi with this over the weekend. And it needed something. So, we'll put a little bit of tuna in there with the crab meat to make it muy bueno. Ta-da! Just gonna mix that up. Make it a little bit better. Boom. There you have it. Okay. So that's ready to go. I'm going to put the avocado in there and roll it up after the rice cools down a little bit. We're good. Now, let's talk about breakfasts. So, there is a couple of different options you can have for breakfasts in the morning that hit the 20-gram mark without cooking or being dorm room compliant. And what I mean by that is if you're living on campus, residency, that's the word. If you're living on residency, then one of the biggest things is your college dorm room may or may not include a kitchenette or somewhere to cook, right? But usually it does contain some sort of mini fridge. So when it comes down to it, you might want to consider sandwiches in the morning. I know a lot of grocery stores have like pre-packaged, pre-hard-boiled eggs. That's something you can consider because you can make a sandwich really, really well in your dorm room with that. And of course, what other things you're doing it with, right? Very popular breakfast option is bagels. I'm not saying it's bad. It's certainly really, really good for the student population because they're nice, cheap, they're filling, and they can pack a lot of carbohydrates for that brain fuel. But the challenge with that is because bagels don't have a lot of protein in them. So what you'd want to do is be able to consider what you can put on your bagel for breakfast protein options. So something like deli meats are really, really good for that. Go for the lower sodium stuff, and that'll be really, really helpful. That'll be nice and easy to get you there. You can also consider stuff like tuna, boom, to help you with that. Or you can have like I said, those pre-hard-boiled eggs. When I was going to TMU, one of my favorite snack options I would get from the Metro grocery store is like this pack of 2 hard-boiled eggs for $1. Fantastic product. Love that. Love getting it between classes because it kept me nice and full, and I didn't want to kill anyone in my nutrition classes. So public service announcement there. That's what we would consider, or that's what I would recommend people, is have a roll of bagels. You'll have like 6 days worth of bagels and all that kind of stuff. But just make sure you're hitting the protein content. And again, the target for the breakfast protein is about 25 to 35 grams of protein there. Now, if you're locked into your morning meal plan, then you want to get something more than just cereal. And I know like cereal with milk, great. There's a little bit of protein in milk. There's not enough. So try to get like a yogurt with that, whatever breakfast protein option you can have. Look for those kind of things because that's very, very important and can help you do a lot better in terms of stabilizing your blood sugars in the morning and preventing you from having these hunger crashes in the middle of the day. Now, that is something to keep in mind. Now, if you can't do that, there is the popularity of overnight oats, where you can have something like soy milk that you can have to mix with your overnight oats combined with protein powder. You mix that up beforehand. You mix it with the overnight oats or the oats in a small jar or Tupperware or something like that. Put it in the fridge, and then in the morning you'll have overnight oats. Now, whether or not you put some fruits in there, that's a really, really good option. Or you can do stuff like overnight chia seed pudding and all that kind of stuff mixed in there together to give you a lot of dietary fiber to really keep you full in the morning. That's really, really good option there as well. Now, the other thing that I tell people a lot to do too is have Greek yogurt. The reason why is Greek yogurt is really, really high in protein. It's nice and easy to eat in the morning, combined with like a banana or something like that. That'll be a really good breakfast protein option. Those individual cups that they have, 2 of those is perfect for what you need. But if not, then if you're getting the tub like this, where's my Greek yogurt? Here it is. If you're getting a tub of Greek yogurt like this, then you want like 2 or 3 tablespoons of that Greek yogurt in order to hit protein targets in the morning. Combined with a little bit of fruit, and you'll be set. So keep that in mind. That's going to be really, really helpful for your breakfast protein options, especially because if breakfast is one of the easier meals and lower cost, and you can avoid the breakfast dining hall for that. So save more money on your meal plan card if that's what you're dealing with. But also these are quick grab and go options. The other kind of breakfast protein option you can consider is, of course, a breakfast smoothie. Now, breakfast smoothies I'm a big fan of, especially if you're on the go, if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of appetite in the morning. Like the idea of eating like a full bagel or a breakfast sandwich like that may not be appealing to you, and I fully get that. I get why. But a breakfast smoothie is a very, very good option for those people that don't want to eat physical solid foods in the morning. I do always recommend solid foods, but a breakfast smoothie is really, really good if you're one of those people that just doesn't have an appetite in the morning. And the reason why is because it doesn't matter if you don't have the appetite in the morning, your body still needs the nutrition in order to function better from a brain fuel standpoint and from a nutrition standpoint, from a hormonal standpoint, right? The goal there would be to get a good amount of protein powder, some Greek yogurt, again, multi-purpose kind of ingredients, some frozen fruits or some fruits in your freezer, in your mini fridge, and all that kind of stuff, and blend it up using a little mini bullet blender kind of thing, or you have those portable blenders now that can just like USB charge and then they'll blend on the way if you didn't want to like blend it in the dorm room in case you were sharing. Let's be honest, most of the time it's not private rooms, it's semi-private, so that means you have a roommate. If you're blending something while they're sleeping, they will hate you. They will hate you very, very quickly, right? So you could get one of those like portable blender bottles on Amazon for a good price and just kind of put everything in there in the morning or the night before, blend it on the way to class and drink out of that to get your breakfast protein nutrition. Now, breakfast smoothies, very, very important. I always recommend a lot of berries in the morning. I think berries are a really, really great fruit from an antioxidant standpoint. And from a sugar management standpoint. Like, berries have the lowest sugar content out of all fruits, if you take a look at their statistics. And they have a lot of nutrition. So blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, as well as strawberries, great option for the morning, and it makes a lot of foods taste really, really good. And the mixed berry options in your frozen aisle are one of the easiest kind of and lowest cost fruit options you can get that work really, really well in the morning. So do that. I think those are great choices for anyone to have in the morning. Breakfast smoothie, overnight oats, chia seed pudding, a high protein chia seed pudding, Greek yogurt. These are great foods that you don't have to go to the dining hall for, especially if you're like, oh crap, I just woke up and I only have time to get to my lecture. You want to have something ready to go in your dorm room that you can carry on for and all that kind of stuff through the rest of the day. Because if you were to eliminate one meal out of the entire 3 meals that you needed per day, breakfast should be one of those because it's easiest to eliminate. And sometimes I will admit, like the meal hall cards are really, really good. We were looking at, she's going to Western, and we were looking at the menu, and it's actually kind of crazy cool. If you're there's a lot of diversity of food options and all that kind of stuff, and they're available at a wide range of hours throughout the day. So I really recommend students at the beginning of the season start to get into the habit of preparing their own breakfast, not going to the dining hall, because I think it makes it a lot easier and stretches the meal plan card a lot longer without going over budget with that thing. Because remember, budget is something that you have to start preparing for or managing around your nutrition if this is brand new to you from a God, what is it called? An adulting standpoint? I don't know. What's going on here? taking a long time. I don't get why. Anyways, that's the breakfast protein options. Let's talk about study snacks. So, study snacks. Study snacks are very, very important because one of the biggest things I get clients to worry about before they start their school year is snacking while they're studying. The reason why is because that kind of behavior from an eating standpoint contributes to something called distracted eating. When distracted eating occurs, it's really, really hard to work on because a lot of psychology is involved. So for example, it's not only just studying and eating, but like watching YouTube videos or watching Netflix or watching anything while you're eating makes it so that you can't tell whether or not you've eaten enough or whether or not you're full or all that kind of stuff, right? So when you're distracted, you're dysregulated, you can't actually, it really contributes to this behavior over time that a lot of people can't tell if they're full or not. So this is a lot of intuitive eating practices, which is very, very important. So I tell people when it comes to study snacks, try to eat your study snacks on a study break and try to take study breaks frequently. I think there's something in the research that says like if you take a study break every 90 minutes or so, take a quick little walk, a little stretch, get some blood flowing, that really helps you retain the information much, much better. So if that's the case, you're just, for example, 90 minutes studying chapters 1 through 3 or whatever it is, then you get up, you take a quick break, you walk around a little bit, get the blood flowing, get some movement going, all that kind of stuff, and have a snack. That'll be really, really good because it paces you according to how much you actually need to eat, because usually it's not that much you need to eat during study breaks. So a handful of nuts is really, really good. 1 to half a serving of fruit is a really, really good option. You want to aim for foods that are giving you carbohydrates but not spiking your blood sugars, right? And what I mean by that is you want to avoid foods that will break down too quickly and not actually allow you to perform well from a research standpoint. So I will be the first to say, like, when you have snacks like this, which are great, they're tasty, but the challenge is when you're dysregulated and you're providing yourself a tasty treat, it's not doing you the best because your blood sugars are spiking, they're dropping down, you retain less information that way. So as great as these kind of things are, and I do love these snacks, not great from a studying session or a work session, right? So we want to keep that in mind. We don't generally recommend people eat during study sessions because of that distracted eating kind of principle, but also because your body needs different kind of fuel. So, and this really depends on when you're studying, right? Assuming you're studying during the day, carbohydrates have less of an impact, but if you're studying at nighttime, you really want to balance out the carbohydrates with the protein and dietary fats. This is where trail mix enters the play with fruit. As a good study snack. Again, try to do that in 90-minute intervals. That will help you much, much better to prevent issues further on in life. Because one of the biggest challenges right now, I see a lot of people that they are distracted eating a lot. And that makes it so it's very, very hard to regulate or even get people to recognize whether or not they're full or not at meals. So keep that in mind. From a study snack standpoint, we want to be able to regulate that. Now, do you want to have big meals before study sessions? Probably not. And this is why, generally speaking, we want to recommend 3 solid meals per day, because that generally prevents you from overeating. If you have because what I see a lot of university students struggle with is overeating before certain things because they're dysregulated. So I'll give you an example. Student goes to school in the morning, doesn't eat breakfast, has a huge lunch, tries to study in the afternoon, but ends up taking a nap because they didn't sleep too well and all that kind of stuff. Now they're behind on their study schedule, they're all that kind of stuff, and they're panicking, and now they got to stay up late after dinner, and they're overeating at dinner because they're distracted. They're trying to study while they're doing that kind of stuff, and this endless cycle just keeps going back over and over and over and over again. So that is a very, very big reality for a lot of students, especially a lot of student athletes that have to wake up very, very early in the morning. You always want to make sure that you're having regular meals throughout the day. slow and steady intake throughout the rest of the day. That makes everything a little bit better. It prevents your blood sugars from spiking, prevents you from overeating, allows you to recognize that you're meeting your nutritional requirements, and it, generally speaking, is a little bit more enjoyable from a nutrition standpoint. Now, I personally don't love when I'm overeating and eating too much foods, and that generally forces a lot of fluctuation in the body. So, for example, if you eat really, really fast and a lot of food at one time, chances are you're going to bring down not only have blood sugar fluctuations from overconsumption of carbohydrates in particular, but you might experience a blood pressure shift away from the brain, because when you're eating big volumes of food, that pulls a lot of liquid to your digestive system to balance out that change in pressure that you're experiencing. So keep that in mind. You want to make sure you have regular meal intakes and separate meals and snacks. Again, going back to the original thing, separate your meals and snacks by about 3 to 4 hours. Same thing kind of applies to the study snack session. However, during study breaks, because you are looking to break up your study sessions by 90 minutes each, roughly speaking, then it makes it so that it's a little bit easier, for example, to have a few snacks before you take huge breaks in regards to your studying and if you're sleeping properly, right? That rice is almost done, but what I'm going to do now is talk about nighttime snacking a little bit more, because nighttime snacking is something that a lot of students do particularly struggle with, because, like I said, distracted eating from before, we're going to take a couple pages from intuitive eating. A lot of students have a lot of their social activities at nighttime, have a lot of study sessions at nighttime, a lot of stress at nighttime and all that kind of stuff. And just because you're young and you can handle a few nights of all-nighters doesn't mean you should make that a regular thing, right? And one thing that people tend to do during all-night long study sessions is eat a lot of carbohydrate-rich foods as snacks. Because let's be honest, when we're talking about snacks, it really is carbohydrates as a whole that we're looking at here. And the reason why that's a challenge is because school starts in September, your first semester starts in September, ends in December. The challenge there is daytime gets shorter. Depending on where you're studying, you might not see that much sun, yada yada, all that kind of stuff. And the challenge with that is that once it becomes nighttime, our body's hormones shift from daytime activity to nighttime activity, where the same foods are digested and tolerated very, very differently. Generally speaking, during the day, your body tolerates carbohydrates much better than at nighttime. At nighttime, what tends to happen is when you're having carbohydrate-rich snacks, your blood sugars end up spiking, they end up dropping down. That makes you a little bit drowsy, a little bit tired. You might be treating that with a little bit of caffeine. Not a good idea, because now when you're treating with caffeine, you're not sleeping too well. Your central nervous system is stimulated, and of course that drives this whole cycle of you not resting properly or retaining information. So what we really want to recognize is that for nighttime snacking, if you're going to have some snacks, that's important, but just make sure you prioritize protein as adjacent to those snacks. So in those examples that I was giving you, some crackers with peanut butter, for example, work out really, really good, because the peanut butter, the protein, and the fat from the peanut butter end up controlling blood sugar spikes at nighttime, right? Because from obviously during the fall, days get shorter and shorter and shorter, nighttime gets earlier and earlier and earlier. That is a problem. Hold on one second, I'm going to do this, and all right. The rice is done. I'm a little bit worried about it, but we'll see what happens. Smells good. Yep, there's a little bit of a crusty layer on the bottom, but that's okay. We'll be fine. We'll take out the kelp, and then what we're going to do is mix in the rice vinegar. We're going to mix this up let this cool down a little bit before we start rolling it into sushi. Okay. All right. That. Throw the rest in. All right. Right, there's a lot of rice wine vinegar or rice vinegar in there. We'll be able to mix that up and let that cool down for a little bit before we start rolling up the sushi in our nori and all that kind of stuff. So getting back to nighttime snacking, what we want to recognize with nighttime snacking is that if you're going to eat a lot of high carbohydrate rich snacks at nighttime, the likelihood is it's going to start messing around with your blood sugars. If it starts messing around with your blood sugars, then you're not going to sleep too well. If you're not going to sleep too well, you're not going to retain information too well. It's this vicious cycle that we want to be aware of. So, that being said, if you're going to have snacks at nighttime, try to make sure that you have a good protein content with that so that it prevents your blood sugars from spiking. The reason why is because whenever you eat carbohydrates alone, your blood sugars are going to rise a lot faster than if you were to have snacks with carbohydrates and protein together. Now, the reason why is because protein and fats, what they do is they slow down the body's ability to absorb carbohydrates as quickly, allowing you to basically prevent a blood sugar spike as easily as you would without it. Don't need that. Yikes. Alright. So that is why, alright? Especially at nighttime, we want to prevent blood sugar spikes because when you have a blood sugar spike, you have a drop. That drop usually ends up making you tired, it feels drowsy and all that kind of stuff. And if you're over consuming caffeine, which a lot of college students end up doing, then you're going to throw off your sleep schedule even more. Now, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and that really is important for like late night study session before exams or you're cramming before exams. But the reality is that if you're a good student in prioritizing your academics, you're studying small chunks at a time regularly throughout the year so that you get repeat exposure to the same information, the same tasks, all that kind of stuff. It makes it a lot easier for you to do well in your academics if you take your study sessions in smaller dosages and smaller amounts. So keep that in mind because that's really, really important. Yay. This is a thumb. All right. That being said, hopefully that all makes sense for nutrition for academic success. Any questions in chat? I see 4 people watching right now. Welcome. Welcome in. We'll put this in the fridge. Actually, I don't have any space to do that. I'm just going to keep this outside right now and just chat with the camera. So that being said, some of my late night snacking favorites end up being nuts with fruit, Greek yogurt with fruit, crackers with tuna salad, sushi to be perfectly honest with you, I love sushi at nighttime. Like, if I was a student and I was able to make sushi, I would love to be able to snack on sushi while I'm studying. So, you know, these are a couple of my favorite snacks. What are your favorite snacks at nighttime for studying? Leave them in the comments below. But yeah, that's largely it. How's this doing? It's a little bit warm still. Nothing wrong with that. But I just don't like rolling hot sushi. I want this to cool down just a little bit more. I'm going to put this in the fridge. Oh, let it cool down rapidly. Hopefully that works. So, rice is in the fridge. Everything's looking good. Yeah. Basically all we got right now from a nutrition and academic standpoint. I will be rolling out the sushi in a little bit. Timing today was a little bit off. That's okay. I'm just here to make progress, not perfection. I will do a quick shout out to my training videos. I have officially been registered for the Scotiabank not Scotiabank, it's TCS Waterfront half marathon in October. So I've been training for that, been uploading videos for that once a week. So go take a look at that if you're new to the channel. Very proud of the editing there that I'm doing by myself. Proud of the fact that I'm able to maintain it. Things have just been firing really, really good recently. And I will say, the other thing too is fantasy football season is back. We're about to draft soon. So like, you know, looking at drafting a whole bunch of really, really good players and making sure I have a good fantasy football season. So that's what I've been kind of up to over the last little bit. And, you know, making sushi, having a good time, making sure my nutrition, my training's good. Yeah, everything's been a blast lately. No complaints over here. Everything's been fun. Yeah, so let me see here. Wash this knife real quick. All right, that. I will also have this thing. All right. Pow, 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 pow. All right. Looking good, looking good. Okay, so we're going to do that. Where's my little trays? Okay, so we got our avocado, tuna, crab meat, almost ready to go. Want the rice to cool down just a little bit more, but basically I'm going to start rolling out because I'm getting impatient, I'm getting hungry, and I got to go out tonight, believe it or not. It's a friend's birthday. I have to go downtown. We're going to do a little bit of dancing, and it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. Really liking, generally speaking, where I'm at in life recently, because been a lot more social, doing a lot more things, enjoying the summer. The training's been going well, been enjoying the fact that I've been training outdoors a lot, and that's because of a practicality issue, really. The practicality being that my condo gym has shut down for renovations, and I didn't know that. And with that, what has happened is I needed to run. So I just started running outside, and for those of you that don't know, I generally don't like running outside. Now, the reason being is because I like how convenient it is for me to be able to run indoors, just hop on the treadmill, go, and then be able to get off of it, end where I started. So I don't have to calculate like, oh, I need to make this my last lap, or I need to do this or this or this or anything like that. I could just run and go and then be like, oh, I hit my target. I could just disassociate. I can just train and all that kind of stuff. But I will say, and, shout out to those of you that are watching the training videos right now. But it's been a lot of fun challenging myself running outdoors a little bit more. It's been making me improve a lot better, a lot faster. And it's been a lot of fun. So I've been really, really enjoying it, having a blast there. Everything's been doing great for me recently. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. So we're going to put our... Can everyone see that? Well, okay. Let's angle this down. Yeah, let's angle this down so you can see the food a little bit better and stop looking at my face. All right. So we got one of our first rolls here. We're going to put our crab meat with a little bit of the QP mayo in here for our first roll with avocado. So kind of like a California roll. And then we're going to just tuck this in and, of course, secure it like that. Roll. Get tight. Put a little bit of water, connect it, and then squeeze this a little bit. Boom, sushi. Not too shabby. All right, that's the first roll. Second roll. We are going to, again, put some rice on it. Now, the amount of rice you put on is fully dependent on you, but I like to put a thin layer of rice on. I don't like to have giant chunks of rice in my sushi. I want a nice thin layer, so I'm just going to distribute that evenly as much as possible. Try not to push it down into the nori, which is the seaweed, but still be able to spread it out a little bit more appropriately. I need a little bit more here. All right. That's awesome. Awesome. And now we're going to put the avocado on it. Perfect. Doesn't need to look perfect at all, just needs to get in your mouth. So keep that in mind. We're going to put some of the spicy tuna in there, and then we're going to roll it up in a little bit. All right. So there's the spicy tuna. Again, that's Kewpie mayo with a little bit of sriracha and some green onion in the mix. What we're going to do is, again, take this stuff and then roll it up, tighten up, water to seal, close, tighten up again, and we're good. Release. Done. That's why I've been loving sushi, or making sushi, because it's just a skill that you get better and better and better at. It's a lot of fun, and it's delicious. Absolutely delicious, and it's just so much fun being able to make it at home. Really cool. And some water. Wet your hands a little bit before you start spreading out the rice, because you can use neutral oil too. I don't like the oil thing, but you could use neutral oil as well. And the reason why you do this is so that the rice doesn't stick to your hands. Rice is very, very sticky, and if it sticks to your hands, you're just not going to have a good time while making this, right? So if you wet your hands a little bit, see my hands? No sticks. No sticks at all. So, again, repeat the same process. Put some avocado down. Put our filling in. Alternating to the crab meat again. Spread this out as evenly as possible. But if not, it's okay, because we're not professionals. No one's paying for this. Just doing this for entertainment and for the lulz. Okay. Tighten this up. Roll it up. Tighten here. Tighten. Then I'll gear it this way this time. Water to seal it. Roll it up and again on itself. And then you just kind of there we go. Okay, oops. There's 2 sheets there, that's fine. Now a little bit more. Mash down the rice. Move a little bit of it around. There we go. Again, more avocado. Repeat this process. Basically, that's all we need to do. The filling, we're going to put more tuna in here. Okay. Just going to roll this up. Leave a little bit here of the nori. So we're just going to roll it up on itself. Tighten it up. Give a good squeeze. Boom, sushi. Next roll, let's go. This is the best part about cooking. For anyone watching right now, this seems fast, but there's a lot of practice that goes into this, right? So whatever you want to cook, just remember, you're not trying to be perfect. You just want practice. So practice as much as you can, and you'll get fast, right? But if you're practicing, make it a low stakes night. Give yourself a ton of time. This is something I do for stream. And, you know, I eat before stream and all that kind of stuff, so I'm not hungry during. Because if you're hungry during stream, then you're going to have a bad time. I can guarantee you that. You're going to have a bad time. So, I always eat before stream, and that way I don't have to rush myself. But, for those of you that want to practice this well in advance on the weekends when you have a lot of time to do it. It's going to be a lot of fun for you. It's a good activity to have. But I'm just going to put the rest of this in because I'm running low on rice. There's probably enough for like 2 more rolls. That is all crab meat. Then what we're going to do, again, roll this up. Water, fold it over, tighten up. Boom. Sushi. Now, oh, this one came a little bit loose. No. Practice. Remember, practice. A little bit of that avocado just fell out. That's going to not be the greatest, but it's fine. It's going in my stomach. Not the biggest deal. Now, final sheet. Throw this on. Basically all the rice. basically. That one's going to be overloaded. Spread that apart, wet hands, so the rice doesn't stick. Thin. Then use up the rest of our avocado. We're going to have a half roll in a little bit, which is fine. Let's do that. And then we have a good amount of tuna left. Going to use that up and save enough for a half roll. And because last time I did this, I had a half roll that I needed to use for the rest of the tuna, the rest of the filling, and the rest of the rice. Same kind of conundrum I'm in now, which I cut half a nori sheet and then was able to basically use that, and I have the rest of the nori sheet available. So again, water, seal it up like an envelope, roll it up, boom, sushi. And then last one, here's that half sheet of nori, cut that up. And then I have just a little bit of rice left and a little bit of avocado. So this one's going to be a lot of filling with a very little rice ratio. That's okay. Again, it just goes to my stomach, not being sold or anything like that. So don't care how it looks. Now, that being said, all the rice is done. For the most part, there's that. Put that in here. See how sticky it gets if you don't water it up? Spread this apart. All right. Roll the final one. There's too much avocado. You can never have too much avocado. It's okay, and the rest of the tuna. That's our last one. Just gonna roll this up. This one's going to be hard to roll up because it's so thick, but actually, no, it's good. Okay, a little bit of water, seal it. And then give it a little bit of a squeeze, not too hard. Then boom, we have a little halfy roll. Nice. Okay, so all that's done right now. Throw that in there. What's left is the cutting. Now, I have been cutting it a little bit more recently. For those of you that have seen the stream before, you'll know that I've kind of like been a barbarian in the past and just eaten it like that. But right now, I've been cutting it a little bit more and plating it. So that's been fun. Do that and talk about the secrets to cutting sushi a little bit better, more efficiently. Clear this area a little bit. And get one of the sushi plates out. Alright, so trick to cutting sushi is having a wet, clean knife. So what I do is just boom, that's good. And then there. Awesome. Ready to cut again. So once in half. So this is the way I like to cut it because I don't like too many cuts. I have to wash my knife a little bit too much. So I will do 3 cuts per half. There's that, and then there's that. Okay, beautiful. And then I'll wash, dry off, that, and then that. Beautiful. Right. What we'll do is we'll put it on the dish, and I try to make it so that I have the end pieces arranged a certain way, and the other pieces, the center pieces, a little bit more, I guess, center. But we'll see. It's going to fall out. Push that in a little bit. Let's see if that works. All right, beautiful. All right. Again, what we'll do is we will cut this in half, and then thirds. 1, 2, wipe, clean, wipe, 1, 2. So we've got thirds here. 1, 2. Then we got the end pieces, which are going to be a little bit loose. That's okay. We still love them because we love to eat them. And then cut that again. Is this way. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Make sure you get a nice sharp knife. I'm going to clean off, and then you can present. Another sushi roll. What I'm going to do here is half. 1, 2. All right. 1, 2. And then I'm going to put it over here. The colors just mix and match a little bit so it looks pretty. And we got 2 more. One, 2, 3. Beautiful. Clean this off. Wipe this off because your blade gets a lot of the rice stuck onto it, and that's what makes it harder to cut. So that's why I'm wiping down the blade so much. Okay, there we go. 1, 2. And we're going to put the end pieces on the side. And last one, or last crab roll. Half. 1, 2, thirds. Wipe the last one. 1, 2. Awesome. All right, I cut my sushi. What we're going to do to present this is make sure we balance this out. Presentation matters, even if you're eating for yourself. So there's that, and then we have these little bits that are just going to go in the center and on the side. So then we're just going to use these as decorative pieces. Boom. No waste. A lot of fun. Sushi. That is for dinner tonight. Big old plate of sushi. What do y'all think? Looks good, right? Gonna get my wasabi and my low sodium soy sauce in a little bit. We're gonna make that up into a nice little slurry before we sign off stream. And we end the night. So hopefully everyone learned a little bit today about proper nutrition and balancing nutrition for your academics and all that kind of stuff. Oops. Oh, ow. My legs are stiff. Low sodium soy sauce. Let's move this camera a little bit more. All right, there we go. Beautiful. All right. So, soy sauce in with the wasabi. Because I'm a degenerate. And then, whisk. Take this whisk, break it all up so I get a good amount of wasabi mixed in with the soy sauce. And we'll have a couple of bites of this on camera. Alright, that's looking good. And what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What do you think? We're going to eat it! Oh my god. Okay. So, I'm just going to move this over here. We're going to have a few bites, and then we're going to sign off. And then I'm going to get ready for the evening, do my nighttime things. Oh yeah, I forgot to take a photo of this. Let me see here. Photograph. Yeah. All right. I'm going to upload that. Going to get to eat it. And make sure everything's looking good. All right, so I'm gonna have a few bites of this. We're gonna take the end piece because they are not so pretty, but they're delicious. Take that, dip it. Mmm. I didn't do the best with the rice. That's okay. Again, we're going to improve for next time. But all the right flavors are there. And the reason why I say I didn't do too well with the rice was because I didn't pay enough attention to the Instant Pot, how it was cooking. So if you don't pay enough attention to it, and for me, what I've noticed is that if the seal on the pressure cooker side of things doesn't work out properly, then the bottom of the rice kind of burns. Not burns, but it gets a little bit overcooked, a little crispy. In Chinese, we call that fanjiu, which is really, really good because it's a part of the hot pot, like the stone pot kind of rices. Really good stuff because what I like to do, or what a lot of people like to do, is after you've gotten the rice out of the stone pot, then you put like chicken broth or a soup in there, a soup. Let that rice kind of come off, mix together with the soup base you've had, like the bone broth or whatever. And that makes it like into a little bit of congee, which is really, really tasty because that rice has been cooked fragrantly, is what they call them. Doesn't work quite so well for sushi because you're not looking for that textural contrast the same way you would with like a Chinese kind of style thing, right? So in this, I would say the rice wasn't the biggest success because of the fact that it was maybe a little bit overcooked a little bit. That's okay, but the tastes are there, the flavors are there. It was nice and fast. Good dinner overall. Mmm. Yeah, that works out really, really well. So, the canned crab that I bought, here it is. Wild crab meat. This was only good, really, for like mixed with a little bit of the QP mayo, it made it really taste good. If it was just the crab meat alone mixed with rice, not so good. And I tried that over the weekend. Didn't taste so great. This time tastes much, much better all around. Anyways, that's it for the stream. Thank you very much. Hope you learned something about nutrition and academic success. I will be chopping this up and uploading it into an actual video with everything a little bit more succinct. But until then, have a good day. Please like, please subscribe, hit the notification icon, all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you next week for the next stream, which is sports nutrition for student athletes. So, I'll see you then. Until then, peace. Have a good day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!